The billionaire's daughter asked the nanny to be her mom at the school party. What she does is unbelievable. The silence of the house still echoed with Rowan's hurried steps from the morning. Clare knew that sound well. The click of dress shoes on the marble, keys clinking against the table, the door shutting forcefully. Another day just like the others, him leaving before Emily was even awake. She folded the towels as she heard the first movements upstairs. Soon Emily would come down, her messy blonde hair tousled from sleep, looking for the father who was already gone. "Clare?" the small voice echoed down the staircase. "I'm here, sweetie." Emily appeared in her pajamas, dragging a worn-out teddy bear. Her blue eyes still had that sleepy glow, but they already carried something Clare recognized, the silent search for someone who wasn't there. "Did Daddy already go to work?" "He did, but he left a message saying he loves you very much." It was a lie. Rowan had mumbled something about meetings and rushed out, but Clare had learned that little white lies could protect little hearts. Emily nodded, used to it. She climbed onto the kitchen stool and started picking at her cereal while Clare prepared her warm milk. "Miss Taylor said there's going to be a party at school on Friday," she commented, as if it were nothing. "How nice. What kind of party?" "For Mother's Day." The words hung in the air. Clare stopped stirring the milk and looked at Emily, who was now avoiding her gaze, focusing too intently on the colorful cereal. "Oh," was all she could manage to say. "All the mums are going. Jenny said her mum is bringing cupcakes. Sophie said her mum promised to take pictures." Emily spoke quickly, as if the words might run away. "And Emma, even her grandma is going because her mum is traveling." Clare sat down beside her. She knew that tone well. It was the same one Emily used when trying to seem uninterested in things that actually hurt her. "And what do you want to do at the party?" Emily shrugged, but Clare noticed how her fingers squeezed the teddy bear tightly. "I don't know. Maybe I'll get sick on Friday." "Emily? Or maybe Daddy can go. He can pretend it's an important meeting." She laughed, but there was no joy in the sound. "He's good at important meetings." Clare's heart ached. In 6 months of caring for Emily, she had seen Rowan attend 0 school events. There was always something urgent, always a client who couldn't wait. "Your dad loves you very much, you know that, right?" "I know." Emily stirred her cereal forcefully, "but love doesn't show up in pictures." The sentence hit Clare like a punch. 4 years old, and Emily already understood things some adults took a lifetime to learn. They ate breakfast in silence. Emily didn't even eat half, pushing the colorful little stars from one side to the other. Clare pretended not to notice. "I'm going to brush my teeth," Emily announced. "Don't forget to floss," Clare called out, receiving an irritated "I knows" in response. She washed the dishes slowly, lost in thought. Emily was smart, funny, full of life. But there was something about her that resembled a flower, trying to grow in the shade. Always stretching, searching for a light that stubbornly refused to arrive. Rowan wasn't a bad father. He loved his daughter, worked hard to give her the best. The house was proof of that. Expensive toys, designer clothes, a private school. But Emily didn't need things. She needed presence. "Ready!" Emily came running back, now in her uniform. Clare checked her backpack, packed her lunch and tied her shoes. The usual routine, executed with the usual care. On the way to school, Emily was quiet. Clare tried to cheer her up with music and conversation, but the little girl just nodded, lost in thought. "Clare?" she said when they were in the school drop-off line. "Yes?" Emily looked around, seeing other children being dropped off by their mothers. Some were chatting excitedly about the party, showing off colorful notes. "Would you—" she started, but then stopped. "What is it, sweetie?" "Nothing, bye." She ran inside before Clare could insist, but not before Clare saw that look, the same one of someone who wants to ask for something, but is afraid of the answer. The day passed slowly. Clare cleaned the house, went to the grocery store, prepared lunch. Simple work, but she liked the feeling of taking care of the space where Emily was growing up. Rowan called at 2 in the afternoon. "How is she?" "Good. A little quiet today." "Quiet how?" Clare hesitated. She could tell him about the party, about Mother's Day. about the way Emily pushed her cereal around, but Rowan was always rushing. And she had learned that men like him preferred to hear that everything was fine. Just tired. Maybe she slept poorly. Okay, I'll be late. Meeting until 9. Of course, she'll have dinner and be in bed on time. Thank you, Claire. I don't know what I'd do without you. The call ended before she could respond. Claire sometimes wondered if he truly saw what she did there. Not just the food, the cleaning, the practical care, but the smiles she drew from Emily, the tears she wiped away, the fears she chased away at bedtime. At 3:30, she was waiting at the school gate. Emily came out walking slowly, her backpack dragging on the ground. How was your day? Fine. In the car, she stared out the window. Claire tried asking questions, but the answers were monosyllabic. At home, she ate her snack without enthusiasm, did her homework mechanically, and played alone while Claire prepared dinner. It was only after her bath, when she was in her pajamas on the couch watching cartoons, that Emily finally spoke. Claire, yes? Do you like me? The question caught Claire by surprise. She paused the cartoon and turned to her. Of course I do. Why are you asking? Just wanted to know. Emily fidgeted with the hem of her pajamas, avoiding Claire's gaze. There was something there, something she wanted to say but couldn't find the words for. How do you think I'm nice? I think you're the nicest little girl in the world. Really, really. Emily smiled for the first time that day, a small but real smile. Claire? Yes? She took a deep breath, like someone about to dive into deep water. Could you be my mum at school? The world stopped. Claire felt her heart race, her hands grow cold. Emily was looking at her with those blue eyes full of hope and fear, waiting for an answer that could either break or heal something very fragile. Emily, I know you're not my real mum, she said quickly, as if she needed to explain before Claire could say no, but you take care of me like you are. You make food I like. You brush my hair the right way. You remember to leave the hall light on, and I really wanted someone to go with me. The words came out in a single breath, honest and painful. Claire saw not just a child asking for company, but a little girl trying to fill a void the size of the world. Please, Emily whispered. Just this once. Claire looked at that small child on the big couch, holding a worn-out teddy bear, asking for something so simple and yet so profound, and she knew that regardless of the complications, regardless of what Rowan might think, regardless of everything, she couldn't say no. Of course, she said, her voice almost breaking. Of course I can. The smile that lit up Emily's face was like the sun appearing after a storm. She jumped off the couch and threw herself into Claire's arms, hugging her tightly, like someone embracing a dream that had finally come true. Thank you, she mumbled against her neck. Faiza, thank you, thank you, thank you. Claire closed her eyes and hugged her back, feeling something shift inside her chest. She didn't know exactly what it was, but she knew it was important. She knew that innocent request had moved something that had been still for a long time. And as she held Emily in her arms, a certainty formed. Some things in life don't need an explanation. Sometimes love is simply saying yes when someone needs you. On Friday morning, Emily woke up before her alarm clock. Claire found her in the kitchen, already dressed in the blue dress she had picked out the night before, trying to comb her own hair with both hands. Let me help, Claire said, taking the brush. Do you think I look pretty? Emily asked, nervously fidgeting with her feet. I think you look beautiful. And it was true. The blue dress highlighted Emily's light eyes, and there was something different in the way she carried herself today, an anticipation that made her shine from within. And you? Are you going to look pretty too? Claire laughed. She had chosen a simple beige dress, nothing too flashy. She didn't want to draw attention, just be there for Emily. I'll do my best. I bet you'll be the prettiest mom at the party. The word mom made Claire's heart skip a beat. She still wasn't used to the idea, but seeing Emily's smile, she knew she had made the right decision. Breakfast flew by. Emily ate everything, a rare occurrence, and talked non-stop about the party. Miss Taylor had promised games, music, and a special snack. Each child was going to introduce their mom to the class. "What are you going to say when you introduce me?" Claire asked in the car. "I'm going to say you're my heart, Mom," Emily replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Heart, Mom." The words echoed in Claire's head the entire way to school. The school entrance was decorated with pink balloons and posters made by the children. Mothers arrived from all sides, some alone, others in groups, all dressed up for the occasion. Claire felt a flutter in her stomach. What if someone asked about Emily's real mother? What if they found out she was just the nanny? But Emily held her hand firmly. "Come on," she said, pulling her inside. "I want to show you my classroom." The classroom was transformed. Tables were pushed against the walls, little chairs were in a circle in the center, and the children's drawings were hung everywhere. Miss Taylor, a young woman with brown hair, greeted each mother at the door. "You must be Emily's mom," she said to Claire with a warm smile. Claire opened her mouth, but Emily was quicker. "This is my heart mom, Miss Taylor." "Her name is Claire." The teacher seemed to understand immediately. Her smile grew even more affectionate. "That's lovely, Emily. Welcome, Claire." Emily pulled Claire to show her the room. She pointed to her drawing on the wall, a house with 3 people, a small girl, a tall man, and a woman with blonde hair. "That's us," she explained, pointing. "Oh, you're me and Daddy." Claire swallowed the lump in her throat. In the drawing, the 3 of them were holding hands, smiling. The family Emily wished she had. "It's beautiful," she managed to say. Other children approached, curious. Emily introduced Claire to each of them with evident pride. "This is Emma," she said, pointing to a girl with braids. "Emma, this is my heart mum." Emma waved shyly. Her grandmother, an elegant lady, greeted Claire kindly. "What a sweet term," she commented. "Heart mum." The party began with all the children sitting in the circle. Miss Taylor asked each one to introduce themselves along with their guest. When it was Emily's turn, she stood up, full of pride. "This is Claire," she said to the class. "She's my heart mom. She makes the best sandwiches in the world, knows all the princess stories, and never forgets to leave the light on when I'm scared." The silence that followed was different from an awkward silence. It was the kind of silence that happens when something very beautiful and true is said. Claire felt her eyes well up. She stood beside Emily and waved to the class. "Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet Emily's friends." Miss Taylor started clapping, and soon all the other mothers joined in. Emily beamed with happiness. The rest of the party passed like a dream. They played bingo, sang songs, and did an art activity where each child decorated a picture frame to give to their mother. Emily took great care with hers. She glued golden stars around the frame and wrote in her crooked handwriting, "For my heart, Mom." "It's for you," she said, handing it to Claire. "Thank you, sweetie. I'll keep it forever." At snack time, they sat together at a small table. Emily chatted excitedly with the other children, telling jokes and laughing loudly. Claire noticed how different she was, more relaxed, more confident. "She's radiant today," commented Sophie's mother, a red-haired woman who sat next to Claire. "She really is. You two have a very special bond. You can see it from a mile away." Claire looked at Emily, who was now helping a smaller classmate open her juice box. "She's an incredible little girl. And you're a very lucky mom." The word mom still sounded strange to Claire's ears, but less and less so. Maybe because today, seeing Emily so happy, she really did feel a bit like a mom. The party ended with a performance by the children. They sang a song about mother's love, making adorable gestures with their little hands. Emily sang while looking directly at Claire, smiling from ear to ear. When the song finished, she ran into Claire's arms. "Did you like it?" "I loved it. You sang so beautifully." On the way out, several mothers greeted Claire. Some commented on how happy Emily seemed. Others complimented the girl's dress. No one asked intrusive questions. No one questioned it. In the car, Emily couldn't stop talking. "Did you see how much Emma liked you? And Sophie's mum said my dress was beautiful. And Miss Taylor said I was the child who participated the most today. You really were very excited." "It's because I was happy." Emily paused, thoughtful. "You know, Claire, I used to be jealous of the other kids at school. They had moms who went to the parties, who knew the teachers, who knew their friends' names. Claire adjusted the rearview mirror to get a better look at Emily's face. And today? Today, I was just like them. Today I had someone too. Claire's heart swelled in a good way. She understood in that moment that she hadn't just accompanied Emily to a party. She had filled a hole the little girl had been carrying for a long time. At home, they had lunch together at the kitchen table. Emily recounted every detail of the party one more time, reliving each moment. "Can I tell you a secret?" she asked, finishing her food. "Of course. I made a wish when I was singing the song." "What wish?" "That you could be my heart mom forever. Not just at school, but at home too." Claire was speechless. Emily continued, her voice soft. "Daddy is nice, but he doesn't know how to braid hair. And he doesn't remember my favorite ice cream flavor. And he never reads stories with different voices like you do. Emily, I know you can't live here forever. I know one day you'll leave, but until then, can you keep being my heart mom?" The question was so pure, so full of hope, that Claire felt like crying and smiling at the same time. "Of course I can. Promise. I promise." Emily jumped from her chair and hugged Claire tightly. "Thank you for today. Thank you for letting me have a party just like the other kids." That evening, after dinner and a bath, they snuggled on the couch to watch a movie. Emily was quiet, but it was a good quiet, the kind of someone who is content. "Time for bed," Claire announced when the movie ended. Emily didn't complain. She walked up the stairs slowly, still half asleep. Claire helped her into her pajamas and brushed her teeth. In bed, Emily curled up under the covers, holding her worn-out teddy bear. "Claire?" "Yes?" "It was the best day of my life." The words came out in a whisper, but reached Claire's heart with the force of a shout. She kissed the girl's forehead and tucked in the covers. "Sleep well, sweetie." "I love you, heart mom." "I love you too." Claire turned off the light but left the one in the hallway on, as she always did. She went downstairs slowly, still processing the day. In the kitchen, she washed the dinner dishes and put away the toys scattered around the living room. The usual work, but today it felt different. Today, it felt like she was taking care of her own home, her own family. She sat on the couch and looked at the picture frame Emily had made. The golden stars shimmered under the lamplight. "For my heart, Mom," the crooked letters said. Claire held the gift against her chest and closed her eyes. "It was the best day of my life," Emily had said. And Claire knew she would cherish that sentence like a precious secret for the rest of her life. Some things didn't need to be explained or complicated. Sometimes love was just that, being present, being chosen, truly mattering to someone. And today, for the first time in a long time, Claire felt like she truly mattered to someone. In the days that followed the party, something changed between them. Emily started seeking out Claire in a different way, not just when she needed something, but when she wanted to share a thought, a feeling, a small discovery. It was Monday morning, and Rowan had left even earlier than usual, a 3-day business trip to London. The house felt even quieter without him. "Claire," Emily came down the stairs dragging her feet, still in her pajamas. "Good morning, sleepyhead. Did Daddy already leave for his trip?" "He did, but he left this for you." Claire pointed to a card on the kitchen table. Emily opened it slowly and read aloud. "To my princess, Daddy will be back on Thursday. Be good for Claire. I love you." She folded the card carefully. "He always writes the same thing. He loves you very much." "I know." Emily climbed onto her stool and rested her chin in her hand. "But sometimes I wonder if he misses me when he travels." The question caught Claire off guard. It was the kind of reflection she didn't expect from a 4-year-old. "Of course he does." "Why would you think he doesn't?" "Because he never calls when he's away. And when he comes back, he doesn't ask what I did. He just asks if I was good." Claire served the cereal and sat down next to Emily. There was a quiet sadness in the girl's blue eyes. "Maybe he doesn't know how to ask other things. You always know what to ask. Yesterday you asked what color I dreamed in, if I liked the story Miss Taylor told, and if my knee still hurt from when I fell." It was true. Claire found herself paying attention to the details of Emily's life in a way she hadn't even realized. It wasn't work, it was genuine interest. It's different, I spend all day with you. Daddy lived with me when I was a baby. Before Mommy left, Claire stopped stirring her own coffee. Emily never talked about her mother. Rowan had only mentioned that she had left the picture when Emily was very young. Do you remember her? Not really. Sometimes I think I do, but Daddy said it's just my imagination. Emily stirred her cereal without eating. I have a picture of her on my desk. She was pretty like you. Like me. Blonde hair, light eyes, but her face didn't have that kind look yours has. Claire felt something tighten in her chest. Emily observed the world so deeply for a child. What do you mean? In the picture, she's smiling, but her eyes look empty. Is like when Daddy smiles but is thinking about work. Emily finally took a spoonful. Your eyes always match your smile. The conversation stayed in Claire's head all day. As she folded laundry, prepared lunch, and organized toys, she thought about Emily's mother. How could a woman abandon such a special child? In the afternoon, on the way home from school, Emily was quiet in the car. How was your day? Fine. A pause. Claire? Yes. Sophie asked if you were my real mom. And what did you say? That you were more of a real mom than a lot of real moms. Claire smiled in the rearview mirror. That was very smart. It was the truth. Sarah's mom yells at her all the time. Tom's mom never remembers to pick him up from school. Emily paused. You never do any of those things. Because you're important to me. Am I? The question came out small, vulnerable. Claire parked the car in the garage and turned around. Of course you are. You're one of the most important people in my life. Really? Really? Emily smiled, but the smile soon faded. Claire, can I ask you something? Always. Why don't you have any kids? The question hit a sensitive spot. Claire was in her late 30s, had been in serious relationships before, but had never reached the point of thinking about marriage or children. I just haven't found the right person to have a family with yet. Do you want to have kids one day? Yes, I think so. And if you had a daughter, would you want her to be like me? Claire's heart melted. She unbuckled her seatbelt and turned completely toward Emily. If I had a daughter, I would be very happy if she were exactly like you. Really? Really. You're funny, smart, kind, and brave. Emily was silent for a few seconds. Sometimes I pretend you're my mom, not just at school. At home too. What do you mean? When you make my sandwich, I think my mom is making my lunch. When you help me brush my teeth, I think my mom wants me to have healthy teeth. When you leave the light on, I think my mom knows I'm scared of the dark. Each sentence was like a small revelation. Claire realized that, without noticing, she had become the mother figure Emily never had. And how do you feel when you pretend that? Happy. Emily fiddled with the teddy bear she always kept in her backpack. But also a little sad. Why? Because it's just make-believe. They went inside in silence. Emily went straight to the living room and flopped onto the couch, still in her uniform. Claire followed and sat beside her. Do you want to talk about it? About what? About feeling sad. Emily curled up on the couch, hugging the teddy bear to her chest. Sometimes I wonder what I did wrong. What do you mean? For my mom not to want to stay with me. The voice came out small, almost a whisper. Daddy said she left, but he never said why. Claire felt her heart break. She pulled Emily closer, letting the girl snuggle up beside her. Sweetie, you didn't do anything wrong. Nothing at all. But if I were a better girl, maybe she would have stayed. Emily, listen to me. Claire lifted the girl's chin so she would look into her eyes. You are perfect just the way you are. If your mother left, it was because she had her own problems, not because you weren't good enough. How do you know? Because I spend every day with you. I see how kind you are to your friends, how you help when someone gets hurt, how you worry when you think you've hurt someone's feelings. Emily snuggled even closer to Claire. I wish you were my real mom. I know. Not just for a day, or just at school, forever. Claire closed her eyes and kissed the top of Emily's head. The smell of baby shampoo mixed with the scent of a child made her feel something she had never felt before. "Sweetie, do you think it's wrong for me to want that?" "It's not wrong. It's natural for you to want someone who takes care of you with love. But is it possible?" Emily's eyes shone with hope. "Can someone become a mom just by wanting it a lot?" The question was so innocent, so full of longing, that Claire's chest tightened. Love makes a lot of things possible. "So, you can be my heart mom forever?" "I can. Promise. I promise." Emily smiled for the first time since they got home from school. "Do you know what I like most about you?" she asked, playing with Claire's fingers. "What? You always really listen to me. You don't just pretend to listen while thinking about other things. How do you know the difference?" "By the eyes. When someone is really listening, their eyes are focused. When they're pretending, their eyes look distant." Once again, Claire was surprised by Emily's maturity. "You're very smart." "It's because I pay attention to people." Emily shifted on the couch. "Daddy has distant eyes almost all the time. Even when he's talking to me. Maybe he's just tired. Or maybe he doesn't know how to be a real dad." The sentence came out without malice, just as an observation, but it hit Claire hard. "He does the best he can." "I know," Emily sighed. "Sometimes I feel sorry for him. Sorry. Because he doesn't know how much he's missing. If he stopped thinking about work for 5 minutes, he'd see that I'm interesting." "You are very interesting." "You think so?" "I do. You ask questions that make me think. You notice things that other adults don't even see." Emily was quiet for a few minutes, absorbing the words. "Claire, yes, I love you." "I love you too, sweetie." "No," Emily shook her head. "I love you the way daughters love their mums. That way that makes your chest feel warm when you arrive. That way that makes you want to tell them all the good things that happened." Claire felt her eyes well up. No one had ever described love so purely. "I love you that way too. Really, really." At dinner time, Emily helped Claire cook. They made pasta with tomato sauce. Emily insisted on setting the table the fancy way. "It's to celebrate," she explained. "Celebrate what?" "Our first dinner as heart mom and daughter." During the meal, Emily was a chatterbox. She talked about every friend from school, every game from recess. Claire found herself laughing for real, relaxed in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. "Can I tell you a secret?" Emily asked, finishing her food. "Always. I've never been this happy at home." "Never?" "Never. Usually, when Daddy travels, everything is very quiet and sad. But today was different." "Why?" "Because you weren't just here to take care of me. You were here because you wanted to be." Claire stopped chewing. It was true. In the past few days, she had stopped feeling like an employee. She was there because she wanted to be, because Emily mattered to her in a way that transcended any professional obligation. "How did you realize that?" "By the way you look at me now. Before, you took very good care of me, but it was different. Now you look at me like I'm yours." The word hung in the air. Yours. Claire didn't know when it had happened, but that was exactly how she felt. At bath time, Emily asked Claire to wash her hair. "Claire?" "Yes. If you ever leave, will you miss me?" The question caught Claire off guard. She stopped massaging the shampoo. "Why are you thinking about that?" "Because everyone I like leaves. Mommy left. Sarah, the nanny before you, left." Claire rinsed Emily's hair carefully. "I'm not going anywhere. Promise. I promise that as long as you need me, I'll be here." "What if you get a boyfriend? What if he doesn't like me?" "Then he won't be the right guy for me." Emily turned in the bathtub to look at Claire. "Really? Really? Anyone who wants to be a part of my life will have to understand that you're important to me. Like a real family. Like a real family." After the bath, they snuggled in Emily's bed for the nightly story. But instead of asking for a book, Emily made a different request. "Tell me a story about us." "About us?" "About a nanny who becomes a heart mom and a little girl who finally has someone who looks at her the right way." Claire made up a story about a little princess who lived in a very tall tower, cared for by kind but distant servants. One day, a fairy appeared disguised as a caregiver, and filled the tower with laughter, hugs, and true love. "And then?" Emily asked, sleepy. "And then the princess discovered that sometimes the family you choose is more real than the family you're born into. Like us. Just like us." Emily snuggled under the covers, holding her teddy bear. "Claire, yes. If I could choose a mum, I would choose you." The words came out like a whisper but reached Claire's heart with the force of a declaration. "And I would choose you as my daughter," Claire replied, kissing Emily's forehead. "Forever. Forever." Claire turned off the light but left the one in the hallway on. She went downstairs slowly, still processing what had happened that day. In the kitchen, while washing the dishes, she thought about the love that had blossomed between them. It was a love that hadn't been planned, that had grown quietly until it became impossible to ignore. She looked at the picture frame Emily had made at the party, still on the living room table. "For my heart, Mom." The words gained more meaning with each passing day. She sat on the couch and closed her eyes. At some point, without realizing it, she had crossed an invisible line. She was no longer just Emily's nanny. She had become someone who loved that child in a deep and unconditional way. The weight and beauty of that love both scared her and filled her with joy. Emily was right. She now looked at the girl as if she were her own, and maybe, in all the ways that mattered, she really was. Rowan arrived from London on Thursday night, exhausted from the trip and 3 days of meetings. He expected to find the house in its usual silence, Emily already asleep, Claire tidying up the last few things before leaving. Instead, he was greeted by laughter coming from the kitchen. He paused at the doorway, observing a scene he had never witnessed before. Emily sitting on the counter, swinging her legs, excitedly telling a story about school. Claire was washing dishes but constantly stopping to respond, ask questions and laugh at the little girl's jokes. "And then Miss Taylor said my drawing was the most creative one in the whole class." Emily gestured with enthusiasm. "Creative how?" asked Claire, genuinely interested. "Because I drew our family, but instead of normal people, I made us superheroes. You were Super Heart Mom, I was Giggle Girl, and Daddy was Busy Man." Claire burst out laughing. "Busy Man? What's his power?" "He disappears whenever the phone rings." They laughed together, and Rowan felt a strange sensation in his chest. When was the last time he had heard Emily laugh like that? When was the last time she had spoken about him in such a light-hearted way? "Daddy!" Emily saw him in the doorway and jumped off the counter, running to hug him. "You're back." "Hi, Princess." He lifted her off the floor but continued to watch Claire. "How was the trip?" "Productive." Rowan put Emily down. "How did she behave?" "Perfectly, as always." "Daddy, you have to see what I made at school." Emily pulled his hand. "And I learned a new song, and Claire taught me how to make heart-shaped pancakes, and we watched a movie about dolphins, and—" Rowan blinked, surprised. Usually, when he returned from a trip, Emily barely looked at him, answering his questions with monosyllables. Now she was talking so much she hardly took a breath. "Whoa, slow down," he laughed. "So one thing at a time, but I have so many things to tell you." Emily bounced on her feet. "Did you miss me?" The question caught him off guard. Did he? He had thought of her during the trip, of course, but more in the sense of hoping everything was running smoothly at home. "Of course I did." "Good. I missed you too." "But I wasn't sad because Claire said that when we miss someone, it's because we love them a lot, and that the love stays safe in our hearts, even when the person isn't close by." Rowan looked at Claire, who blushed slightly. "Very wise," he said. "Claire is full of wisdom," Emily declared. "She knows the answer to everything." "Does she now?" "She does. She knows why the sky is blue, why dogs wag their tails when they're happy, and why sometimes we cry even when we're not sad." Rowan began to realize that something had changed in the dynamic of the house. There was a different energy, a lightness he didn't remember feeling before. "Well, I think it's time for you to go to bed," Claire said to Emily. "Oh, no! Daddy just got home." "She can stay up a little longer," Rowan intervened. "After all, I was away." Emily smiled radiantly and threw herself onto the couch. Rowan sat beside his daughter, and Clare hesitated before settling into the nearby armchair. "Tell me about your trip, Daddy. Were there a lot of important people there?" "There were. Lots of business executives, some politicians. And do they also stay away from their kids when they travel?" The question was innocent, but it hit Rowan hard. He looked at Emily, who was staring at him with genuine curiosity. "Some of them do, yes." "That's a shame. I bet their kids miss them too." There was something in the way Emily spoke that was different. She seemed more confident, more articulate, as if she had found her voice. Rowan took out his phone and showed her a few pictures from the trip. Emily asked questions about everything: the buildings, the people, even the hotel where he stayed. "Did you eat by yourself?" she asked. "Most of the time, yes." "How sad. Eating alone is no fun." Emily turned to Clare. "Tess, we always eat together, don't we, Clare? And we always talk about interesting things." "What kind of interesting things?" Rowan heard himself ask. "About the dreams I had, what I learned in school, the birds that build nests in the backyard." Emily paused. "Do you want to have dinner with us tomorrow?" "I promise I'll ask you interesting questions too." The invitation was so sincere, so full of hope, that Rowan felt a tightness in his chest. "Of course, that would be great." "Really?" Emily's eyes lit up. "You won't have a meeting." "I won't have a meeting. Not even an important phone call." "Not even an important phone call." Emily clapped her hands. "That's going to be the most special day. We can cook together. Claire taught me how to make lots of yummy things." After Emily went to bed, Rowan stayed in the living room with Claire. "She's different," he commented. "Different how?" "More alive, more talkative." He paused. "Happier, I think." Claire smiled. "She's an amazing little girl. She just needed someone to really talk to. Really talk to. You know, ask questions about what she thinks, not just about what she did. Listen to the answers. Laugh at her jokes." Rowan felt a bit embarrassed. "I ask questions." "You do?" Claire's response was gentle, but they're usually practical questions. "Or how was school? Did you do your homework? Did you brush your teeth? And what kind of questions do you ask? What was the funniest thing that happened today? If you could have a superpower, what would it be? What color do you think dreams are?" Rowan was silent, absorbing her words. She likes those questions. She loves them. And her answers are always surprising. On Friday morning, Rowan woke up with a strange feeling. For the first time in years, he didn't feel the urge to rush to the office. He wanted to stay home, to spend time with Emily. He called his secretary and cancelled all his appointments for the day. "Really?" Emily couldn't hide her surprise when he announced he was staying home. "The whole day." "The whole day. And what are we going to do?" "Whatever you want." Emily thought for a few seconds. "Can I really choose?" "You can. Then I want us to cook together, the three of us, like a real family." The phrase, "like a real family," echoed in Rowan's mind. Was that what was missing? The feeling of family. They spent the morning in the kitchen. Emily directed the operation like a little chef, teaching her father the techniques she had learned from Clare. Rowan was surprised by his daughter's patience, by the gentle way she corrected his mistakes. "No, Daddy, you have to stir slowly, or the egg will turn rubbery," she explained, holding his hand to guide the movement. "Claire taught me that cooking is about care, not about rushing." Rowan watched Claire, who was preparing a salad on the other side of the counter. She smiled as she watched the father and daughter work together. "Claire, aren't you going to help us?" Emily asked. "You two are doing great on your own, but it's more fun when everyone participates." Claire joined them, and Rowan noticed how her presence changed the dynamic. Emily became more relaxed, more herself. "Can I ask you something?" he said to Claire as they chopped vegetables. "Of course. How do you get her to talk so much?" "She usually barely answers when I ask about her day." Claire paused, thinking about her answer. "I think it's about showing that you really want to know, not just because it's a father's duty to ask, but because you're genuinely interested in the answer." "And how do I show that?" "By asking follow-up questions. If she says she had a nice day at school, ask what exactly was nice about it. If she mentions a friend, ask about the friend. Rowan watched Emily, who was focused on mixing the ingredients. You do that so naturally. Because I genuinely care about the answer. Clare looked at him. And you care too. You just need to show it. In the afternoon, they went out to the backyard. Emily wanted to teach her dad how she and Clare took care of the plants. Rowan was surprised to find that his daughter knew the names of all the flowers and recognized the birds that visited the garden. How did you learn all this? He asked, genuinely impressed. Clare teaches me. She says it's important to pay attention to the world because it's always showing us incredible things. Rowan looked around his own backyard as if seeing it for the first time. When had he stopped noticing the things around him? Want to see something cool? Emily pulled his hand to a corner of the garden. We planted these seeds last week. Look, tiny green sprouts were emerging from the soil. What did you plant? Sunflowers. Clare said they always face the sun, as if they're looking for the light, just like me when you come home from work. The comparison touched Rowan in an unexpected way. Emily always looking for him, waiting for his attention, just as the sunflowers sought the sun. Thors, that's very beautiful, princess. When they grow, they'll be huge, taller than me. In the evening, after the dinner they had prepared together, the three of them settled in the living room. Emily was visibly tired, but happy. Daddy? Yes? This was the second best day of my life. Rowan smiled, expecting her to elaborate. But something about the phrase intrigued him. And what was the first? Emily looked at Clare, then back at her father. It was the day Clare was my mom at school. The silence that followed was profound. Rowan felt as if someone had punched him in the stomach. He looked at Clare, who had stiffened in her armchair, then at Emily, who didn't seem to understand the weight of what she had said. When was this? He asked, his voice lower than he intended. At the Mother's Day party. Emily snuggled on the couch. I asked Clare to go with me because all the other kids were going to have their mums there, and I didn't want to be alone. Rowan vaguely remembered Emily mentioning a school party, but he had been so busy he barely paid attention. And how was it? It was perfect. Emily's eyes shone with the memory. Oh, Clare dressed up nicely. She met my friends. She sang the song with me, and everyone said we looked a lot alike. Alike how? In our kind way. Sophie's mom said you could tell we really loved each other. Rowan looked at Clare again. She was clearly uncomfortable, but Emily kept talking. And you know what the coolest part was? What? Rowan could barely form the question. For the first time, I felt just like the other kids. I had someone who came just to see me, who was proud of me, who paid attention to me. Emily paused. That was the day I understood what it's like to have a real mom. The words hit Rowan like an avalanche. He realized, with painful clarity, that he had failed his daughter in a way he had never imagined. While he worked to give her all the material things, she was growing up with an emotional void he hadn't even noticed. And Clare had filled that void without fanfare, without asking for anything, simply because she cared. Daddy. Emily noticed he was quiet. Are you okay? I'm fine. He cleared his throat. I was just thinking about how much you've grown. Clare says growing up isn't just about getting taller, it's also about learning to love and be loved. Rowan looked at Clare, who avoided his gaze. She's right. That's why today was so special, Emily continued. Because it was the first day I felt like we were a real family. You, me, and Clare. Rowan carried his daughter to her room after she yawned. He helped her into her pajamas, brushed her teeth, and sat on the edge of her bed. Daddy? Yes? Can you do this more often? Stay home, play with me, put me to bed. I can. And for the first time, he really meant it. I'll try to do this more often. Promise? I promise. Emily smiled and closed her eyes. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Princess. Rowan went downstairs slowly, processing the day. He found Clare in the kitchen, putting away the last of the dishes. Clare, yes? Thank you. For what? For everything. For taking care of her. For being what I should have been. Clare stopped drying the plate and looked at him. You're a good father, Rowan. You were just lost. I was. He paused. I still am. Really. But today I saw what I was missing. She's an incredible little girl. She is, and you made her blossom. They stood in silence for a few minutes. So I hope you don't mind what happened at the school party. I didn't want to overstep any boundaries, but she was so sad. I don't mind. He cut her off. In fact, I'm grateful. You did something for her that I should have done, but didn't. You can still do it. She loves you very much. I know. And now I know she deserves more than what I was giving her. Rowan looked around the kitchen, at the house that suddenly felt more alive, more full of love. Thank you for helping me see that. For the first time in a long time, he felt present, truly present, and he promised himself he wouldn't forget again what it meant to be a real father. The changes began subtly, almost imperceptibly. On the Monday following the day they spent together, Rowan called his office at 5 in the afternoon. Cancel the 6 o'clock meeting, he told his secretary. Reschedule it for tomorrow morning. Are you sure? It's with the Morrison client. I'm sure. And Margaret. Cancel the Thursday evening ones too. In fact, block off every Wednesday and Thursday after 5. There was a pause on the other end of the line. For how long, sir? Indefinitely. When Rowan arrived home at 5:30, Emily was in the living room doing her homework. She looked at him in surprise. Daddy, didn't you have a meeting today? I cancelled it. Why? Did someone get sick? No. He sat down beside her at the table. I just wanted to come home early. Emily blinked, as if she couldn't process the information. Really? Really? Can I help with your homework? The smile that lit up Emily's face made Rowan realize he had made the right decision. Clare watched the scene from the kitchen, where she was preparing dinner. There was something touching about seeing the father and daughter together at the table, Rowan patiently helping Emily with her math problems. No, Daddy, Emily said, laughing. 5 + 3 isn't 9. It's not. Rowan feigned confusion. Then what is it? 8, Emily giggled. For you're pretending you don't know. Maybe I am, he admitted, making an exaggerated face. It was the first time Clare had seen them truly play together. At dinner, Rowan did something that surprised even himself. He turned off his cell phone. Isn't the phone going to ring? Emily asked suspiciously. It's not. Not even if it's an important emergency. If it's a real emergency, they can wait until tomorrow. Emily looked at Clare, as if seeking confirmation that this was really happening. Daddy, can you tell me about your day? She asked, cutting her chicken into small pieces. My day? Yeah, like, what interesting things did you do? Did you meet any nice people? Did anything funny happen? Rowan paused to think. Usually, his days were a sequence of meetings, phone calls, and emails, but today he had paid attention to different things. Today, I saw a man on the street feeding pigeons, he said. He must have been in his 70s, and he talked to each pigeon as if they were old friends. Really? Emily perked up. And what did he say? Things like, Good morning, Gertrude. How's your wing today? And, Peter, you're eating too much. You'll get fat. Emily laughed heartily. He named the pigeons. He did. And I wondered if they really knew him, or if he was just a lonely man creating friends. I think they knew him, Emily said with conviction. Animals are smart. They know when someone is kind. Clare listened to the conversation with a smile on her face. It was the first time she had seen Rowan truly converse with Emily, not just ask routine questions. And you, Princess, how was your day? Normal, but something funny happened. Emily got excited. Tommy brought a hamster for science class, but the hamster escaped from its cage, and Miss Taylor climbed onto a chair screaming. The teacher is afraid of hamsters. She is, and everyone was looking for the little guy all over the room. Emma found him inside her backpack. Rowan laughed for real, and Emily continued to recount every detail of the story, gesturing with enthusiasm. Clare realized that something fundamental had shifted. She was no longer mediating the conversations between father and daughter. They were finding their own rhythm. In the following days, the new routine established itself naturally. Rowan would come home around 5:30, ask about Emily's day, and help with homework when needed. They ate dinner together, the three of them, talking about various topics. Clare noticed that her own position in the house was changing. She was no longer just the nanny who looked after Emily until Rowan returned. She had become an integral part of the family, a natural presence that no one questioned. "Clare, would you like some dessert?" Rowan asked one Thursday, serving ice cream for Emily. "Sure." He served a bowl for her too, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. The formality of employer and employee was gone. There was a comfortable familiarity, as if she belonged in that space. "Tomorrow is Friday," Emily said, licking her spoon. "Can we make homemade pizza?" "We?" Rowan asked. "You, me, and Clare, like a Friday night tradition." Rowan looked at Clare. "So what do you think?" "I think that's a great idea." Then it's settled. Friday is pizza night. Emily clapped her hands, happy. "And can we watch a movie too?" "We can. And make popcorn. And make popcorn. It's going to be the best day of the week." Clare smiled, seeing how Emily radiated happiness with these small family traditions. On Friday night, the kitchen turned into a battlefield. Flour was scattered all over the counter, tomato sauce on the wall, grated cheese on the floor. Emily directed the operation, teaching her father how to stretch the dough. "No, Daddy, you have to spin it, not pull it," she laughed, trying to correct Rowan's disastrous technique. "Try like this." He tried to spin the dough and it nearly flew into the wall. "Let me show you," said Clare, taking the dough from his hands. "It's like this, see?" She demonstrated the movement with skill, and Rowan watched attentively. "You make it look so easy." "It's practice." "My grandmother taught me when I was a kid." "Tell us more about your grandmother," Emily requested, always curious. Clare smiled, spreading tomato sauce on the dough. "She was Italian, tiny but bossy. She used to say that food made in a hurry had no taste." "Just like you," Emily exclaimed. "You always say cooking is about care." I learned from her. "Did your family always cook together?" Rowan asked, sprinkling cheese on the pizza. "Always. Sunday was sacred. Everyone in my nonna's kitchen, making pasta, laughing, arguing, talking." Clare paused, lost in the memory. "Those were the happiest days of my childhood." "Like today?" Emily asked. "I just like today." Rowan watched the scene, Clare and Emily working side by side, flour on their noses, smiles on their faces. He himself was splattered with tomato sauce but didn't care. When was the last time he had so much fun doing something so simple? "Done," Emily announced as they put the pizza in the oven. "So now we wait and pick a movie." They settled in the living room, Emily in the middle of the couch, Rowan and Clare on either side. The little girl scrolled through the movie catalogue on the TV. "How about this one?" She pointed to an animated movie about a family of birds. "Looks good," said Rowan. "Clare, do you like animated movies?" "I love them." "Great." Then it's decided. During the movie, Emily first snuggled against Clare, then stretched out and rested her feet on Rowan's lap. It was a casual, natural intimacy, as if they had always been a family. Rowan noticed how Clare held Emily with affection, how she absent-mindedly stroked the girl's hair, how she whispered explanations when something in the movie wasn't clear. There was love there, real and profound. "Daddy," Emily whispered in the middle of the movie. "Yes." "I like it when we're like this." "Like what?" "All together, like a real family." Rowan looked at Clare over Emily's head. She was watching him too, and for a moment, they understood each other without words. This was a family. Maybe not traditional, maybe not planned, but real. "I like it too," he said softly. "And you, Clare?" "Me too, sweetie." Emily smiled, satisfied, and turned her attention back to the movie. In the following weeks, the new rhythms solidified. Rowan would cancel appointments to be home for dinner. Clare would stay later, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. The roles became less defined. Sometimes it was Rowan who helped Emily with her bath. Sometimes it was Clare who took her to school in the morning. "Clare," Rowan said one Tuesday, as they washed dishes together. Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you happy here?" The question caught her by surprise. "I am." "Why?" because I realize that you've become part of the family, and I don't want you to feel like you're stuck here, or that you have obligations beyond your job. Claire stopped drying the plate and looked at him. I don't feel stuck, Rowan. I feel her at home. Really? Really? She smiled. You two have become my family too. Rowan nodded, relieved. That's good, because I don't know what our life would be like without you anymore. It was true. In just a few weeks, Claire had become as essential as the air they breathed, not just for Emily, but for him too. She had brought lightness to a house that was too heavy, love to a space that was too empty. Rowan? Yes. Thank you. For what? For letting me be a part of all this. They smiled at each other, and Rowan knew that, finally, his family was complete. It was a typical Friday in their new routine. Homemade pizza, a movie on the couch, Emily between Rowan and Claire, the three of them sharing popcorn and laughter. The house was filled with that warm energy that had become natural over the past few months. Time for bed, princess? Rowan said when the movie ended. Oh no, 5 more minutes, Emily pleaded, snuggling closer to Claire. Tomorrow is Saturday. You can sleep in, Claire negotiated. Okay. Emily sighed dramatically. But will you take me to my room? Of course. Rowan collected the popcorn bowls while Claire helped Emily up the stairs. The nightly routine had become a sacred ritual between them, a warm bath, soft pajamas, brushing teeth with funny stories for each canine, and finally, bed with the worn-out teddy bear always nearby. What story do you want tonight? Claire asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. I don't want a story tonight, Emily said, surprising her. No? I just want to talk. Claire tucked the covers around Emily. About what? About us. There was something in Emily's voice, a seriousness that didn't match her 4 years of age. What about us? Emily held Claire's hand with both of her small ones. Claire, you could be my real mum. Claire's heart skipped a beat. So, sweetie. No, listen. Emily sat up in bed, still holding Claire's hand. I've thought a lot about this. You already do everything a mom does. You take care of me when I'm sick. You make yummy food. You help me with my homework. You listen to my problems. You hug me when I'm sad. The words tumbled out, as if Emily had rehearsed this speech several times. And you really love me. I can see it in your eyes. And I love you too. Emily paused, her blue eyes shining in the dim light. I love you. The simple phrase hit Claire like a wave. She felt her eyes well up. I love you too, sweetie. So why can't you be my real mom? The question came out small, vulnerable. Don't you want to? Claire swallowed hard. How could she explain to a 4-year-old the complexity of feelings she couldn't even process herself? It's not about wanting to, Emily. Then what is it about? It's complicated. Because you're not married to Daddy. The question caught Claire completely off guard. It's more complicated than that. But you like him, right? Emily tilted her head. I see you laughing together in the kitchen. You get along. Claire felt her face flush. It was true that she and Rowan had developed an easy friendship, a natural partnership. But, sweetie, sometimes things aren't as simple as they seem. But they could be, Emily insisted, if you wanted them to be. Claire kissed the girl's forehead. How about we get some sleep? Tomorrow is Saturday, remember? We can make heart-shaped pancakes. Okay. Emily lay down, but she still held Claire's hand. But promise you'll think about what I said? I promise. You would be the best mom in the world. Even better than Emma says her mom is. Claire smiled, but felt a tightness in her chest. Sleep well, my love. I love you, heart mom. I love you too. Claire turned off the light and left just the hallway one on Tato-san as she always did. She went downstairs slowly, Emily's words echoing in her mind. Rowan was in the kitchen, putting away the last of the dishes. She fell asleep quickly tonight, he commented. Yes. Everything okay? You seem tense. Claire forced a smile. Just tired. It's been a long week. Why don't you head home and rest? I'll finish up here. Thanks. I think I will. She grabbed her purse and keys, wished Rowan a good night, and walked out to her car. But instead of the usual relief of a job well done, she felt a strange weight in her chest. On the drive home, Emily's words replayed in her mind. "You could be my real mom, I love you." Clare's apartment was small and quiet, a stark contrast to the lively house she had just left. She threw herself onto the couch and finally allowed the tears to come. They weren't tears of sadness, they were tears of a joy so intense it hurt. Emily loved her. Not just as a nanny or a caregiver, but as a mother. The little girl wanted her to be her real mother, and that was exactly the root of the problem. Clare got up and went to the window, looking out at the empty street. What was she doing? At what point had she allowed the lines to become so blurred? When she started working for Rowan, the rules were clear. She was the nanny. She would take care of Emily during the day, keep the house organized, be professional and caring, but within appropriate limits. But when had she crossed those limits? When did she stop being an employee and start feeling like a member of the family? "She's not my daughter," she whispered to herself. "This isn't my home." The words sounded hollow because her entire heart screamed the opposite. Emily felt like her daughter. The house felt like her home. Rowan felt like what? A partner, a friend, something more. Clare shook her head, trying to push those thoughts away. This was dangerous. She was getting too involved, dreaming of things that didn't belong to her. What if Rowan met someone? What if he decided to get married? Where would that leave her? She would just be the nanny who got too attached, who would need to be gently dismissed so the new family could flourish. The thought made her feel nauseous. She walked over to the small desk in the corner of the living room and pulled out a sheet of paper. Without thinking too much, she began to write, "Dear Rowan, after much consideration, I have decided it's time for me to move on. These past months caring for Emily have been incredible, and she is an extraordinary little girl. But I feel I have fulfilled my role here, and that both she and you are ready for a new phase. I would like to give 2 weeks' notice so that you can find a suitable replacement. I can help with the transition and ensure that Emily adjusts well to the change. It has been a privilege to be a part of your lives. Sincerely, Clare." She reread the letter 3 times. The words were appropriate, professional, kind. They didn't reveal the emotional chaos she was feeling, nor did they expose how much her decision was tearing her heart apart. She folded the letter and placed it inside an envelope. She wrote Rowan's name on the front in careful handwriting. But then, instead of sealing the envelope, she left it on the desk and went to her bedroom. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, Clare tried to imagine her life away from Emily and Rowan. She would look for another job, maybe with a different family. Or maybe it was time to try something completely new. But the idea of waking up in the morning and not making Emily's breakfast, not hearing her stories from school, not watching her grow, it was unbearable. "You're being dramatic," she told herself. "It's just a job." But it wasn't just a job, and she knew it. It had stopped being just a job the moment Emily asked her to be her mom at the school party. Or maybe even before that. On the first day, the little girl ran into her arms after getting hurt in the backyard. Clare turned over in bed, hugging her pillow. Tomorrow was Saturday. She didn't work on Saturdays, but Rowan had mentioned they might go to the park. Emily had asked her to come along. She could deliver the letter and end this agony once and for all. Or she could pretend last night's conversation never happened, continue in denial, and hope her emotions wouldn't betray her. But as she thought about it, the image of Emily holding her hand appeared in her mind, her blue eyes shining with love and hope. "You could be my real mom," Clare cried until she fell asleep, exhausted from the war between her head and her heart. The next morning, she woke up with a terrible headache and swollen eyes. She looked at the letter on the living room desk, still unsealed. Her phone rang. It was Rowan. "Hi, Clare. Sorry to call on your day off, but Emily won't stop asking if you're going to the park with us today." Clare closed her eyes. "Rowan, I know it's your day off, so don't feel obligated." But she was so excited last night talking about it. "What time are you going?" "Around 10, we can swing by and pick you up," Clare looked at the letter again. "Okay, I'll go." "Great, she'll be thrilled." After she hung up, Clare took the letter and put it in a drawer. She couldn't do it, not today, maybe never. She prepared herself for another day of pretending her heart wasn't breaking, pretending she wasn't hopelessly in love with a life that wasn't hers. But when Rowan and Emily arrived to pick her up, and Emily shouted "Clare" and ran into her arms as if she hadn't seen her in weeks, she knew she was lost. It didn't matter how complicated it was. It didn't matter how dangerous it was for her heart. She couldn't leave that little girl. She couldn't leave that family, even if it meant living in an emotional limbo forever, even if it meant loving without the right to love, even if it meant being more than a nanny but less than a mother. At least for today, she would stay. And maybe, if she was lucky, she would find a way to make it work without destroying herself in the process. But deep down, she knew it was already too late to protect herself. She had already given her heart completely, and there was no going back. Clare carried the weight of the unsent letter for 2 weeks. The sheet of paper remained tucked away in her desk drawer, like a secret that burned inside her. Every morning she woke up wondering if today would be the day she finally gave those words to Rowan, and every evening, seeing Emily's smile, she knew she couldn't. But the tension was becoming unbearable. It was a rainy Monday in April when she finally worked up the courage. Emily was at school, the house was quiet, and Rowan was working from his home office due to the bad weather. Clare knew if she didn't speak now, she might never. She knocked lightly on the office door. "Come in," Rowan said, without looking up from the papers scattered across his desk. "Rowan?" Her voice came out more hesitant than she intended. He looked up and immediately noticed something different in her expression. "Everything okay? Can we talk?" "Of course." He closed his laptop and gestured to the armchair in front of his desk. "Have a seat." Clare settled into the chair, but kept her hands clasped in her lap, as if to contain the storm raging inside her. "Rowan, I need to talk about what's happening here." "What's happening?" He frowned. "Is something wrong with Emily?" "No." Clare took a deep breath. "With me. With us." The silence that followed was heavy with expectation. "When I started working here, I knew exactly what my role was," she began, choosing each word carefully. "Says to take care of Emily, keep the house organized, be professional and caring, but within clear boundaries." Rowan watched her intently but said nothing. "But something changed. Rowan, I changed." Clare's voice trembled slightly. "I've become attached in a way that goes far beyond professional." "What do you mean?" "Emily has become like a daughter to me." The words came out in a whisper. "I love her as if she were my own child, and it terrifies me." Rowan leaned forward, but remained silent. "I wake up in the morning and my first thought is of her. If she slept well, if she's happy, if she needs anything. When she's sad, my heart breaks. When she achieves something, I'm filled with pride as if I have the right to feel that way." Clare paused to breathe, her emotions threatening to overflow. "And it's not just her, Rowan. These last few months, having dinner together, talking, laughing, I've started to feel like part of a family. Part of something I maybe shouldn't feel a part of." "Clare, no, let me finish." She held up a hand. "I know you hired me to be a nanny, and at some point I stopped being just that. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if you're comfortable with it. I don't know if I should keep my distance." The tears she had held back for weeks finally began to fall. "Emily told me the other day that I could be her real mom, and the way she said it, with so much hope, with so much love." Clare's voice broke. "I almost said yes. I almost said that nothing in the world would make me happier." "Why didn't you?" Rowan's question caught her off guard. Because it's not my place. She's not my daughter. This isn't my home. I don't have the right to dream of these things." Rowan was silent for a long moment, as if carefully choosing every word he was about to say. "Can I tell you something?" he finally said, his voice low and filled with emotion. Clare nodded, wiping her tears with her hands. "When Emily's mother left, I thought I could handle everything on my own." He leaned back in his chair. I worked 16 hours a day, supported the house, paid for the best school, bought the best toys. I thought that was enough. Claire listened in silence, but there was something in Emily that was turned off. She was obedient, quiet, but there was no light in her. I attributed it to her mother's absence, thought it was something she would get over with time. Rowan shook his head. I was so wrong. He stood up and went to the window, watching the rain fall in the backyard. Until you arrived. Rowan turned to look at her directly. You made my daughter blossom, Claire. And you made me stop. Stop to see who she really is, and how much she needed me. The words were heavy with a deep and genuine gratitude. You think you're encroaching on a space that isn't yours, he continued. Claire, you didn't encroach on anything. You filled a void I didn't even know existed. Claire felt fresh tears well up, but this time they were tears of relief. I see the way she looks at you, Rowan said. I see how she lights up when you come home. I see how she trusts you, how she loves you unconditionally, and I am profoundly grateful for that. Rowan, no, let me finish. He returned to his desk but remained standing. You aren't overstepping inappropriate boundaries, Claire. You are being exactly what she needed, what we both needed. The silence that followed was different from before. It was the kind of silence that happens when something important has been said and needs to be absorbed. But I don't want you to feel pressured, Rowan said softly. I don't want you to feel like you have emotional obligations that go beyond what you've chosen. I chose this, Claire whispered. Every day, I wake up and choose to be here. I choose to love her. I choose all of this. Then there's no problem at all. Really? Really? They looked at each other for a few moments, the weight of years of unsaid feelings finally settling between them. You know what's funny? Rowan said after a while. What? I hired you to take care of Emily, but you ended up taking care of both of us. Claire smiled through her tears. And maybe you two took care of me too. What do you mean? I never had a real family, Rowan. I never knew what it was like to have people who genuinely cared about me, who wanted me to be present in their lives. You gave me that. Rowan walked over to her and, hesitating for only a moment, held out his hand. Claire took it, and he helped her to her feet. Then we're even, he said with a half smile. They shared a brief hug, a hug of gratitude and mutual recognition. Rowan, yes, thank you for not sending me away. Thank you for not leaving. That afternoon, the rain stopped, and the sun began to peek through the clouds. Rowan cancelled his afternoon meetings and suggested they pick up Emily from school together. Really? Emily couldn't hide her surprise when she saw both of them at the school gate. You came together. We did, said Rowan. Why? Did something happen? Nothing much, said Claire. We just wanted to pick you up together. Cool. Emily skipped between them, holding a hand of each. Can we go to the park? Of course, they answered in unison, making Emily laugh. At the park, Emily ran straight to the swings, asking Claire to push her. Rowan sat on a nearby bench, watching the interaction between them. Higher, Claire, higher, Emily shouted, laughing. Are you sure? Claire joked. You won't fly away. If I fly, you'll catch me. Always, Claire replied without hesitation. Rowan watched the scene with a smile on his face. There was something so natural, so right about that dynamic. It was impossible to imagine how things were before Claire came into their lives. After the swings, Emily wanted to show off her skills on the slide. She went up and down countless times, always calling for them to watch. Did you see how fast I was? She would shout from the top of the playground. We saw, Rowan and Claire would reply, always paying attention. When Emily finally tired herself out, the three of them sat on the grass watching other children play. You know what I was thinking, Emily said, pulling up blades of grass. What? Rowan asked. That we're a very weird family. Weird how? Claire laughed. Because most families have a daddy, a mommy, and kids. But we have a daddy, a heart mom, and me. Emily looked at them both. But it's a good family, right? Rowan and Claire exchanged a meaningful look. It's the best family, said Rowan. I agree, Claire added. Great. Emily flopped onto the grass, satisfied. Then it settled. They stayed there for another hour, Emily chasing butterflies, Rowan and Clare talking about trivial things, but with a lightness that hadn't existed for weeks. As the sun began to set, they decided to head home. "Size, can I make dinner tonight?" Emily asked in the car. "You?" said Rowan. "What do you know how to cook?" "Claire taught me how to make grilled cheese sandwiches, and I'm very good at it." "Then it's decided," said Claire. "Dinner by Chef Emily tonight." In the kitchen, Emily directed the operation with comical seriousness, giving detailed instructions to Rowan and Clare on how to slice the cheese and spread the butter on the bread. "No, Daddy, not like that," she would say, laughing. "Claire will teach you," and Claire taught him patiently, while Rowan pretended to be a difficult student to make Emily laugh. During dinner, as they ate the slightly burnt but lovingly made sandwiches, Rowan looked around the table and felt a sense of completeness he didn't know he had been searching for. "Claire?" he said when Emily went to brush her teeth. "Yes. I thought I was doing everything right by securing her future. The best school, money saved for college, a well-structured career path." He paused. "But you showed me that what she needed was someone in the present." Claire just smiled, a smile that said more than any words could. Someone who paid attention to her now, who cared about her feelings now, who loved her now. "You do that too, Rowan." "I do now, I learn from you." They finished tidying the kitchen in companionable silence, each lost in their own thoughts, but united by the certainty that they had found something rare and precious. When Emily came down to say goodnight, she hugged them both tightly. "Thank you for the perfect day," she said. "Thank you," Rowan replied. "For what?" "For teaching us what it means to be a family." Emily smiled and ran back to her room. Rowan and Clare stood in the living room, the weight of the morning's conversation finally dissipating completely. "Clare." "Yes?" "Your daughter is calling," he said with a smile. Clare laughed, and for the first time in weeks, she felt no guilt or fear in accepting that title. She no longer had to ask if she was in the right place. Rowan no longer had to deny the obvious. His daughter was happier when Clare was there, and that was enough for both of them, more than enough. It was everything. It was a lazy Sunday in May. Emily was spread out on the living room floor, surrounded by crayons and sheets of paper, completely absorbed in her artistic creation. "What are you drawing?" Clare asked, sitting on the nearby couch. "It's a surprise," Emily replied without looking up, her tongue sticking out the corner of her mouth in concentration. Rowan appeared in the room with a cup of coffee, still in his pajamas with messy hair. It was rare to see him so relaxed. "She's been at it for an hour," he commented, settling into the armchair, very focused on her project. "Done!" Emily finally announced, standing up with the paper in her hand. "I can show you now." She held the drawing up for them, her eyes shining with expectation. "It's our house," she explained. The drawing showed a simple house with a red door, 2 windows with blue curtains, and a chimney releasing heart-shaped smoke. In the yard, there were colorful flowers and a tree with enormous apples. But what really stood out were the 3 figures in front of the house. On the left, a tall man with dark hair. In the middle, a small girl in a yellow dress with blonde hair. On the right, a woman, also blonde, in a green dress, holding the girl's hand. They were all smiling, they were all holding hands. "That's us," Emily said, pointing to each figure. "Hassan, Mies and Claire." Rowan leaned in to get a better look. "It's very beautiful, Princess." "Do you really like it?" Emily asked, anxious. "I love it," Claire said, and it was absolutely true. "Want to know something cool?" Emily sat between them on the couch. "We're holding hands because we're connected. Because we're a family, right?" The question was simple but filled with hope. Emily looked first at Claire, then at Rowan, waiting for confirmation. Claire felt her eyes fill with tears, not tears of sadness, but of a joy so pure it overflowed. "Yes," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "We are." "Really?" Emily turned completely toward her. "Really, really, really, really. And you, Daddy?" Emily looked at Rowan. "Do you think we're a family too?" Rowan looked at the drawing, then at Emily, then at Claire. There was something in his eyes she had never seen before, a deep peace, a quiet certainty. "I do," he said simply. "Haas, we're the best family I know." Emily clapped her hands and threw herself into Clare's arms, who hugged her tightly, still with tears in her eyes. "Can I hang the drawing on the fridge?" Emily asked. "Of course," said Rowan. "Place of honor." "I'll go get tape," Emily announced, jumping off the couch and running to the kitchen. Rowan and Clare were left alone in the living room, the drawing still between them. "That's how she sees us," Clare said softly. "That's how we are," Rowan corrected. In the kitchen, they taped the drawing to the refrigerator door, right in the center downs where everyone could see it. "Perfect," Emily declared, admiring her work. "Now everyone who comes in here will know we're a family." "And what if someone asks about our different family?" Clare asked. "I'll say that family isn't just about who you're born with," Emily replied with conviction. "Family is who chooses to stay together." The 4-year-old's wisdom left the two adults speechless. "Where did you learn that?" Rowan asked. "Here," Emily said, pointing to her own chest. "In my heart." She ran back to the living room, leaving Rowan and Clare alone in the kitchen. "She's right," Rowan said, heading to the stove. "Want some tea?" "Please." Clare sat at the table, watching Rowan prepare the drink. There was something comforting in this domestic ritual, in the familiarity of his movements, in the way he knew exactly how she liked her tea. When the water boiled, Rowan placed the tea bags in the mugs and poured the hot water. The steam rose, creating small aromatic clouds in the sunlit kitchen. He turned to hand a mug to Clare, and their eyes met. No words were needed. In the simple gesture of offering the tea, prepared exactly as she liked it, in the mug that had become hers, there was a silent acknowledgement. She belonged here. "Thank you," she said, taking the mug. "Always," he replied. They drank their tea in comfortable silence, watching through the window as Emily, who had gone out to play in the yard, chatted animatedly with the flowers, inventing stories about butterfly kingdoms. "Rowan." "Yes." "Thank you for letting me be a part of all this." "Thank you for wanting to be a part." "I always wanted to," she admitted. "From the first day, I think. I just didn't know if I was allowed." "You are," he paused. "You always were." Emily ran in through the kitchen door, her cheeks flushed from running in the sun. "Can I call Grandma?" she asked Rowan. "I want to tell her about our drawing." "Of course." "Clare, will you come with me?" "I want you to talk to her too." "Me?" Clare was surprised. "Are you sure?" "Of course, your family now." When evening came and Emily was finally asleep, Rowan and Clare stood in the living room, looking at the drawing on the fridge through the open kitchen doorway. "She has a talent for art," Rowan commented. "She has a talent for many things," Clare replied, "including seeing what really matters. Our daughter is very wise." "Our daughter?" The words hung in the air, natural and right. "She is," Clare agreed. And in that moment, looking at the drawing of 3 figures holding hands in front of a house full of love, Clare knew she had found her place in the world. There was no contract, no solemn promises, no ceremony, but there was a clear and unshakable feeling. She belonged here forever. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next ones. Leave a like because it helps this story get recommended to more people. See you in the next story.